Howdy, folks. Happy Friday. We have a full stock of guests here. Some because of illness, some because they're just available. I'm always here. Russ, starts off with the pre-show.
Okay. I am going to talk about the NFL. I'm not talking about players with guns in airports because that happens every day. That's the NFL. It's a rogue league. We know that. But I'm going to talk about free agency because, and aside from Tom Brady, because I'm bored with that now too. But yesterday, something interesting happened. The Jets said they were very interested in re-signing Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson played in Temple, so he played locally. Somehow Philly missed him the first go-round. But I saw a slew of Eagles fans saying, we don't want any part of Robbie Anderson. And I was thinking, he's like one of the 3 fastest wide receivers in the league. Yes, he doesn't catch everything, but he catches enough touchdowns. I'm thinking, how could the Eagles fans not want him? And that it's not like they're loaded at wide receiver. It's like I just didn't understand the rhetoric there, but that part made me laugh a bit. And then the Jason Peters thing, I think that actually the Eagles made the right decision here. But
I agree with
that.
Go
get a contract. But people are like, no, you got to keep him around to tutor. And it's like, how long are you going to tutor a first-round pick?
It's very, very much a Philadelphia thing to hold on to guys a bit past, the time frame that they should still be around. And again, you spent a first-round pick on Andre Dillard.
Yeah.
And he had a year to basically apprentice. It's time to see how that investment goes and that's –
Can I get a tutoring gig for $5 million a year? I wouldn't mind that.
Now, the other interesting thing is, so there's this tug of war for Monday Night Football with either Peyton Manning or Al Michaels. Al Michaels has 2 years left with NBC.
Well, they're talking about trading them. They're talking about trading him to ESPN.
Yeah. He has 2 years. Well, they would buy him out. He has 2 years left with NBC, but they want to use him possibly for Monday Night Football, or they're considering Peyton Manning, who they might pay $18 to $20 million. Here's a quick thing. Monday Night Football is dead. It doesn't matter how much money you put into it.
Trying to rise it from the grave.
It is a failed product. It hasn't been good. Think about it. For all the football that we watch on this panel, aside from Eck, who doesn't watch any, what is the point of Monday Night Football anymore?
I don't know, because, it's so bad. And see, this is the thing. It was appointment television back in the 70s and the 80s because they got the best games, and they had, Howard Cosell, who most people hated, but they loved watching.
They hate watched.
Right. Right. It was the whole Howard Stern thing. It says, how many people, how about the people who hate him? It says, well, they're waiting to see what he says next. And that's what Cosell did. But now it's like, since you get it on Thursday, on Sunday afternoon, on Sunday night, at Monday, you're just like, can we end this friggin' week, please?
And I was having a discussion with the radio guy yesterday in the press box at the Flyers game, and he likes Booger McFarland. He is the only person that I've ever found that likes Booger McFarland.
He's a friggin' idiot, because Booger McFarland is a joke.
He's not an idiot. He loves the game. He just has a weird way of explaining it and never shuts up.
All right, who's the hockey equivalent of Booger McFarland?
Pierre Maguire.
No, I can't.
He never shuts up either.
I can't insult Pierre that much. I
learned something about the kid's junior career. At least
that's what I learned.
But I learned something from Pierre. At least.
All right.
Pierre's. I like Pierre, but honestly, the thing about Pierre is the constant throwing of dropping names of guys from juniors in college and all. And I do agree, you learn something, Anthony, from it, but it's also
Yeah, everybody went to Shattuck St. Mary.
I'm not saying I'm overly thrilled with it. He does it all the time. He keeps going to the well.
I think Pierre I think gets kind of a bad rap. I honestly do.
I think so too. I think in studio he's fantastic.
And actually in person he's a really nice guy too. He's not what you'd expect at all.
Oh, I don't know. I got exactly what I expected from Pierre one day. Not in a bad way.
Well, I guess I know. I'm sure there's
in a Pierre way.
Jan, I can't think of anybody who is as incompetent as Booger McFarland, who does like the man in between the benches. No, there's nobody who is as bad as he is. And the guy he's partner with, John Tessitore. I mean,
we all agree universally he's.
Oh my God! I mean, there were people in Buffalo that if he was in Buffalo, if he showed his face in Buffalo after that Bills Houston game, he would have been burned at the stake. And that's how bad he was. Well, they haven't made a 47-yard field goal since Scott Norwood missed one in the Super Bowl. It's like, okay, keep jabbing, you jerk.
We gotta start. We gotta talk.
All right,
now we get to it.
I think it's time.
Get my blood boiling here.
We can't change our things.
That's not hard.
I was trying to go. We can't like do anything else, but
No.
we'll realize that this.
that was the far away look.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like zooming out. This is the 3D version. So, we're
going for the wide angle shot here.
Yeah, put on your 3D glasses.
Wait.
We're going for the panoramic shot. Makes Mike look better.
Take a boost.
All right, no. Today we're going with the standard Gold Peak Diet Ice
Gold Peak. He likes that sugar rush.
No sugar in here, just pure artificial things.
Yeah,
right.
Goalie FP Frank in the chat says, "Wait, Mike's blood is boiling." Yeah, it is possible with all that cholesterol for my blood to be boiling.
I was just gonna say it's a day ending in Y. That's probably easy.
I started, Mike, during the pre-show. I started this little list here that I have. I'm going to keep a track of for the rest of time here, which is on my desk. Sometimes I just write things straight onto my desk, and I did that with this one. I said, Mike's comments of calling somebody a joke. So we have I've got 4 today. We're going to continue that. And as
on Monday, I will say it about Joe Biden. Just kidding.
Calling people a joke. All right. Ready? Here we go.
Yes.
Hello, Hockey. Friday, March 6th, 2020. And I'm about to see if these guys know any idea what order they should be in. Ready? Here we go.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Jan Levine.
I'm Anthony Mingioni.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
Rock on. And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday.
It's a great Friday.
It's a party Friday. We got a big five Friday. 5 people in the chat. Yes, as we focus today on a whole bunch of things. And I think we really probably have to start with Zibanejad today.
Yeah, please.
Five goals. Is he a joke, Mike? 5 goals.
No, his contract is a joke, especially after he scores 5 goals.
2 more years, baby. 2 more years left in it.
Watching a little of that game. Fourth time since the salary cap era. What was that?
You're cutting in and out.
Friggin' jugger. All
right. Well, try logging off and logging back on. Maybe that'll work.
Continue. I'll be back.
Okay. Fine. All right. We'll start with you, Jan, because I think we got to the point where I think people believe Zibanejad is a number 1 center, but you're right. They have him on that very friendly contract with a couple more years left, and now he's in the Rocket Richard race. Although he's nine goals behind Ovechkin and Pasternak. So unless he has a couple more games like that, it's not realistic. But still, he's having a great year, and the Rangers are they're still pressing for a playoff spot. So, what did you think of the performance last night?
It's kind of hard not to be amazed. You look. I wrote about it this morning, and Larry Brooks wrote about it, and Rick Carpinella wrote about it, and I'll just go through some of the numbers. But you look at kind of how all the goals, right? The first one was on a tip-in on a slap shot by Panarin. Second one came side, the left circle on a slap shot to the short side, right? The next one was a rebound, was another one scored short side off a behind-the-back pass by Buchnevich. The fourth one was Kakko missing the net and him blasting it from the right side of the goal. And the fifth one was a breakaway tally that he roofed in overtime, right? So he kind of scored in almost every single way possible. Yeah. You look at his numbers, 14 goals the last 10 games with 6 assists, 27 goals, 47 points in his last 33 games. You can kind of figure what his numbers might have been if he didn't miss 13 games after the reverse body check by Patrice Bergeron that cost him all those games. And the trade we talked about a lot was Zibanejad in the second rounder was acquired by Jeff Gordon for Derek Brassard in the 7th rounder. And since that trade, he's got 109 goals and 229 points in 263 games. Brassard has 59 goals and 138 points in 287 games with several different teams. And as you mentioned, he's on a pretty good cap-friendly contract at 2 more years at $5.35 million before he becomes a free agent. So all in all, I would say pretty stellar numbers overall. And that was a game that if the Rangers were going to have any shot at staying in playoff contention, they absolutely had to have, and he almost willed them to the win by himself.
I mean, I'll say this. It was a steal of a trade, but you knew that Ottawa couldn't sign him, so they kind of were stuck. But let's not forget, Johnny Tyconic is going to be a second-pairing defenseman in the NHL. He plays great for North Dakota now. He was the second-round pick. So it's not like Ottawa got nothing. I don't want people to feel like, or Sens fans to feel like they got nothing. And let's face it, Artemi Panarin helped Zibanejad look pretty good too. Let's not forget that. Zibanejad's got the shot, but without Artemi Panarin, he doesn't get 5 goals.
I'm going to say something about Artemi Panarin for a second. Like,
he's probably the third best player in the league.
Yeah, is he the best free agent signing ever? Like UFA free agent signing?
No, because when the Rangers,
I think Tavares has been pretty good.
Tavares,
not to.
Well,
Tavares, but again, he hasn't do as much as Panarin does.
That's true.
Oh, that's true. But I'm just saying, like, as far as like, just like, you know, we've seen a lot of free agents signed over the years, you know, and you know, some of them. But we're talking about a player here that could potentially be like a top 5 or definitely top 10 player in the NHL. I mean, Tavares is not there right now. You know.
No, but his role, like Jan said, his role is different. His role is to sort of take the heat and the focus off of Austin Matthews. And last year, in his first year, he scores 47 goals. So that's not bad.
No. I mean, he's a great free agent signing, no questions asked. But he's also, you know, Panarin feels like he's just – I'm not saying Tavares isn't still getting better, but I feel like Panarin is still getting better. I mean, if that makes sense.
I don't know if he's getting better. I think what's happening here is – this year, he's got a few more skilled players than he had last year. Sure. So now you're just seeing, to me, he's like a wizard. Like, he creates everything. He makes everybody better. He has very few weaknesses. He's good defensively.
Yeah.
He gets overlooked as being one of the best players in the game because he hasn't been on teams that he's had major impact with. You know, if you take him off the Ranger team, there's no shot at them making the playoffs. And the fact that they're in a playoff race, and I still think they're on the outside of it, but they're in a playoff race without Shesterkin in there. Like, that's pretty remarkable, and he's a big reason.
Yeah, well, it's a couple things, Russ. So the key, I think, first of all, is exposure, right? I mean, while you can get exposure anywhere, it's clearly much different being in New York and getting the exposure there.
True.
B, the interesting part is I remember when they signed him, I had enough people on my blog commenting that they thought the Rangers made a huge mistake in signing him, A, for 7 years, and B, at $11.6 million, given where they were in terms of the organization.
A lot of that going around.
And my view was, well, that kind of was the time to sign him because you needed something within the organization to signify that you're getting to that next step, which clearly is what signing him has done in terms of the impact he's had on the team and the organization.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and he's been phenomenal. I mean, I follow Columbus pretty closely, and in Columbus, he was always good, obviously very skilled and very talented. Although he did have moments when he would disappear in Columbus. You know, like there were times when he wouldn't be as good. But what this year has been amazing is just
I mean, if he disappeared with the Rangers, the Panarin cam would have caught him. That got kind of annoying with MSG one game, but
yeah, I mean, he's. I mean,
well, it's only one game.
You wrote the book, 100 Greatest Rangers of All Time.
Would he be in there? You know, if we redo
will he make that list?
Yeah, if we did it in a couple of years, I think he would be in there. Like, we had to project Lundqvist on there when we did the book because it was in 2009, and so we put him in there in a certain spot. Obviously, he would be way up high now. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say a couple of these years and Panarin would be in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're third or fourth leading scorer in the league, I mean, that's like –
But he could break his leg next year, X, so we can't say definitively.
Well, yeah, no, obviously. But, I mean, he just definitely has, like – it's fun to see players who have that ability. Now, one of my favorite moments in hockey seasons in general happened last night, which is –
like, there's one dynamic, X, before you talk about your favorite moment, there was one dynamic going on last night that really made me laugh. The impassioned pleas of Flyers fans acting as if they were rooting for the Rangers. And I kept telling them, the Rangers blow leads, the Caps will bleed a point out of this game. Like, I kept trying to remind people, this is the way this Rangers team plays. And, of course, that's what happened. And everybody's like, in Flyerland, we love you, F you.
Well, this is perfect because this plays into exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Because last night, like, I grew up going to the Spectrum as a kid, section 35, row 15, seats 10 and 11. with my mom every game. That's where I was, and I was there. I was there when they had the Pele Lindbergh ceremony after his death. I was there when Bernie Perrant raced off the ice holding his eye. I was in this place. I was there forever. Okay, I was there for Eric Lindros's first goal against the Devils in the regular season. All these events. There for Game 6. So my memories of all Game 6 of the Edmonton Oilers series in '87. My memories are all, watching hockey with my mom. And last night I get the call. When Zibanejad scores the 5th goal or the 4th goal and they take the lead. From my mom who's with my sister watching the game. They're like, I can't believe I'm friggin' rooting for the Rangers to win a game. What's going on? This is crazy. The Flyers. We keep refreshing the standings. When you want to see it, I want to see the Flyers on top of the standings. I love that kind of passion. That's just that's what I grew up with, and it was so much fun to hear my mom just so fired up, and my sister and her kids are all fired up. And of course, like you say, I said the same kind of thing. I'm like, it's not over yet. And
I remember getting a phone call in 2013, Ak. I remember that 4-1. Hey, congratulations on going to the second round.
Yeah, yep. That was a text. Yeah.
That's the one thing Flyers fans have a gift for. They always jump the gun when things are going good or they think things are going good. Anthony is very rare. You have to understand, Anthony is a very rare one because, yesterday, I even heard, they were in first place for 18 minutes. You would never hear Anthony say that. Heck, maybe back in the day, but it just
I had the tweet warmed up and saved. 1 minute and 42 seconds remaining when the Rangers went up 5-4. I warmed it up.
When was the last time the Flyers were in first place in the division?
Ovechkin scored 5-5. I said, this is why you don't say send.
Right. Smart. When was the last time the Flyers were in first place in March? You're going back a ways. You remember, I think it's 2010, but remember the Flyers team made the playoffs in the last game of the season.
Don't remind me. I was at that game with you.
Yeah, that game. I remember you were at the game. Right next to that game.
They haven't been challenging for division titles for the better part. To look over the standings, it's been, think about it, maybe even this century. I got to believe it's more than the last 20 years.
Was it when Phil Muir was goalie?
What's that?
Was it when Phil Muir and Pete Peters were the goalie?
No, not that far. But no, we're talking about the Lindros.
That was a 33-game streak there, Mike. Don't be an idiot.
I think I'm right on that. I think it's the Lindros era was the last
time. Actually, I think you're right because
I think it was Lindros. I have to go back and check.
No, I think you're right.
Lindros
era. It would have to be the Lindros era.
They'll get the finals, but not
they've made the playoffs, but they've barely made the. They've had some good runs even, but not winning the division.
Right. The bigger debate is, and look, we know Vigneault's done a great job. I still wouldn't make him the Jack Adams because Tortorella's just got less to work with. That's just not Vigneault's fault. Yeah. Vigneault's done a great job. The other debate is, and they've only faced each other a couple times, is if the Flyers play the Penguins in the first round, no matter how hot you feel like they're coming in, this is going to be a ridiculously tough series, and odds are they're going to lose.
2-3 series are going to be by their nature ridiculously
tough. And especially if Van Riemsdyk's not back by then, that takes a big piece out of their lineup.
If I'm looking at the two teams right now, in terms of I'm looking at defensive depth, Philadelphia's got more defensive depth than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They may have better defensive depth. I think Pittsburgh plays better defense than people give them credit for, but I still think the center matchup 1 through 3 is a problem.
Well, we're sort of burying the story about last night's game, and we were all, just sharing text messages last night. And I'm sorry, the Carolina Hurricanes. I have to break it out, Ak. The Carolina Hurricanes are a joke.
No, I know. I wrote about this today too. I agree.
Because
well, Brady Shea did what Brady Shea does.
But it's not just that. They had 48 hours from the time that they lost Reimer and Mrazek to the deadline. There was no excuse. They trade a first-round pick for Brady Shea. They trade a second-round pick for Sami Vatanen. They trade 4 players, 2 players and 2 prospects, to get Trocheck. You don't have a goaltender, and you don't make a friggin' trade for one. Are you kidding me?
Here's the question.
I think they're a joke.
Here's the thing. I'm in somewhat agreement with saying, hey, acquiring a goaltender. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was it that you think they were going to pick up in this circumstance that they would have gone that would have held down the fort? Because remember, you got both goaltenders,
Robin Leonard.
No. They were interested in Robin Leonard.
Louis Domingue would have
had more than that. Stop, everyone.
Let me just say this and then let Eck go.
Yeah, good.
They were interested in Robin Leonard, and Chicago wanted a first-round pick because they had two. They had Toronto, they had their own, and they had Toronto's, and they weren't going to give up a first-round pick for a goaltender that they couldn't get signed long-term, so they wouldn't do that. But Eck, Ryan Miller, Craig.
There are kind, like I've said, Ryan Miller would definitely go to Toronto, which I was told. I've heard conflicting reports on whether or not he would have gone to Carolina, but I think at the end of the day, he probably. I mean, Waddell is a convincing type of guy. He could have probably gotten him convinced. But here's the thing. I mean, we talk about the Robin Leonard thing, and I mean, they absolutely could have gotten Robin Leonard, and they probably could have gotten it for a second-round pick. Which they gave up, the one they gave up for Vatanen or whoever he got the second-round pick for. And at the end of the day, the big thing is, like you're saying, the big thing is, look at what they did. They had 48 hours, but they're also didn't. It's not like they had Lundqvist and Price who are hurt, and when they're going to eventually come back, they had Mrazek and Reimer hurt. Like, it's not like, what are they saving themselves for? Like,
right.
If those guys come back healthy, there's still Mrazek and Reimer.
And three major trades, and one of them was
I mean, to me, I go get Leonard because Leonard, you have a really damn good chance at re-signing him there as being your guy. Like
but I mean, Leonard, Domingue, Miller, there's a lot of goalies they could have gotten, and whether he wanted to pay the price or not, the price of not making the playoffs is worse. And I got to tell you, post game, Rob Brind'Amour was broken up, man. He's destroyed right now because he knows, just like Mike, that David Ayers won the last game for them as a goalie. He knows that, and
might as well call him out.
He even said, and this is the part that really got to him, and I could tell because I've covered him enough. He said, "Hey, Philly played this game like we're supposed to."
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Leonard, right?
Bread and butter, puck possession, dominant in the zone, and Philadelphia basically after the initial part of the game played their game, and they're the team that's coming in off of the emotional game, an emotional win. You'd figure there'd be a little bit of a dump, and there wasn't.
But Nedeljkovic's not ready. He had a bad clear on the first
I think they're all saving themselves. They look at Nedeljkovic as their guy going forward,
but he's not ready now.
Yeah, but again, you trade a second rounder conditional, becoming a first if you re-sign Leonard, and they just kind of like get the best of both worlds. You get the goal you want. You're not giving up the one, and if he signs, you're getting the guy and you're getting the term that you wanted anyway. It's pretty simple.
And Chicago in the end got Malcolm Subban and a second round pick. Yes. So I mean, you could that deal is better.
Right back, guys. Got somebody at my door.
And you would have gotten a higher pick probably from Carolina potentially than Vegas.
Right.
Yeah, it's just their fan base is pissed off now, and I don't blame them. You could have predicted that they would lose these games. They were telling people under their radar and people on the record that, hey, they expected the goalies back soon, but that's a hope. And neither goalie's coming back soon. So now these are the goalies.
What's him is about a week off.
He says
Mrazek's got a concussion, though. You never know if he's going to have symptoms again.
No, but even then, a week's not soon. We're talking 6 games, 7 games later.
Right, because of the way their schedule's compressed
now
because of them having the week off.
I mean, those 7 games probably put them out of the playoffs.
I mean, they have one game in hand on the Islanders. They have 3 games in hand on Columbus. Columbus is the team that is in danger, even though Russ is right. They keep
bleeding points.
They keep getting points. A point here, a point there, but still.
And I wasn't again. I know Trocheck is an offensive upgrade, no question. Russ had this discussion, and I put this on my piece on Sportsology. They strip mine a lot of depth out of their system to get Trocheck forward.
Yeah, they've been stripping it all year. They've been getting rid of everything from that championship
4
team.
Players that I like in that. There were 4 good players in that deal.
If we go back to revisionist history with that Charlotte team, they got rid of the coach. They got rid of some of the top players. They were veteran players. Yeah. They got rid of everything from that team. I don't know why. I don't understand why they had to clean house on all of that. But this season's going to be a disaster for them if they don't make the playoffs.
And on top of that, they made probably one of the worst signings free agent wise right before the season with Jake Gardner. And now after trading for Shea, and Shea's got years left in his contract, I think they have over $24 million allocated for next season on Hamilton, Pesce, Slavin, Gardner. So all the,
not for long though. They're going to get rid of one of them.
They'll probably get rid of Gardner, but they'll probably have to give him away because he's making $4 million. And so Waddell did not put himself in a good position, and he had to back himself up. I mean, I'm sorry if you think your centers are going to be out for 2 weeks after the deadline, you better get yourself at least a Domingue or something like that.
Yeah, I don't quite get how they could have justified that, because 2 weeks right now with that battle in the wild card spot, even 2 weeks is crazy. Like what they've lost since the trade deadline is probably what's going to keep them out of the playoffs. And even if they, no matter how you slice it, I mean, and like I said, the best thing you've got coming back is Mrazek. Like at the end of the day, go for Leonard. Like at least he comes in, he's your starting goalie for the rest of the year. You make the playoffs, he's your starting goalie.
After last year's run, it's obvious they've got loyalty to Mrazek. The question, again, based off what we know about his history, is
so surprising.
Loyalty misplaced?
Yeah, is that not surprising to hear somebody have a loyalty?
They like his personality. Like I get it. When things are going right with Mrazek, he can really be terrific. But it's so up and down. And actually, from what people told me, the injury that he got was really his fault for basically the way he was playing the puck.
That is true.
He sprinted out when Kyle Clifford, because I was at the game, because Kyle Clifford, it was around the face-off circle. Clifford didn't even see him because he was going after the puck. And as he's reaching for the puck, Mrazek comes in and he wallops him. But originally they had it as a 5-minute major, and they reviewed it and they made it a 2-minute minor because they knew it wasn't purposeful. So it was stupid for him to put himself out there. But now, I mean, he had to think of self-preservation for his team, and now that
play is going to cost them
the playoff spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's move on for a second.
Even though Eck hates to say that, like if we say to Eck a team is dead, Eck will try and talk you out of it.
They're not dead. That's why.
Oh God. Okay, but
they're not, Eck. You're right.
Let's transition to this.
All right. Go ahead.
Western Conference.
Yep.
Now we have 5 teams within a point of each other. Minnesota 75, Vancouver, Nashville, Winnipeg, Arizona 74. It's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun.
It's awesome. The Wild, of course, Russ said we're out of the playoffs last night. They're in the playoffs today, but
I still don't think they're making it. X. Sorry.
You got to love the way Alex Stalock has played and really solidified the net after Dubnyk got hurt. He's been great, and the 2-year deal he signed sure as heck looks undervalued right now.
Right, and I said that, Jan. If they play Stalock more, they'd have a better chance. I don't know if they'll do that.
And this is a guy that 4 years ago got traded as a throw-in in the San Jose deal to send Reimer and Roman Polak to the Sharks, and the Marlies basically told him, we don't really need your services. And now, 4 years later, he's probably one of the better and most cost-effective backups.
Hey, look, we all rip Boston for trading Martin Jones when they had him for 12 minutes too. So we got to be fair about this stuff. With goalies, it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goalies are
right. Go ahead.
Goalies are voodoo, right, Eck?
Yeah. I mean, it's like here's an example of a team that actually cared about their backup goalie and has two goalies. I mean, it's like the Flyers are where they are too because of this. I mean, the Flyers, Brian Elliott doesn't get enough credit for this year. I mean, if you have 2 solid goalies, you can go far. And
for once in a blue moon, Brian Elliott has been able to stay healthy, and that's the key.
Yeah. And the Vegas Knights, I mean, this guy gives the Knights all the credit in the world for going out and getting Robin Leonard.
No, that was fantastic.
What I will say, we have to give LA credit also this offseason. I know a lot about the work that he put in, especially because he's had many lower body injuries over the last, quite a few years. How much work he put in with regards to, coming up with alternate techniques and working a lot on that. And again, it's worked out splendidly for him this season.
I do want to talk about the JVR injury because I was talking about it in depth with Bill Meltzer yesterday. And so, because we were wondering, Eck, it turns out it's his top hand. And so it's really his shooting hand. So I know, like, obliviously, people on the radio are like, well, we expect him to be back for the playoffs. But when you break your hand, that it is your top hand, and that's your shooting hand.
Wait, so it's the top hand on the stick?
Yeah, it's his top hand on the stick. That's going to be hard for him to come back in just 4 or 5 weeks.
Especially
it's going to be longer, I think.
Especially when he's down low on the power play, because his hand work there is very intricate, and and that's the key for him to be able to get
very
shot.
Quick. His hands are very quick.
So I just want to update fans on that one, because I think there's a lot of misinfo going out there, or just hopes and prayers, whatever,
Yeah, but then again, I'm going to throw out that that Grant has been unbelievable. Like, I mean, let's just throw. I mean, really, he's
been really good.
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and it just, to me, I'm trying to think of what he reminds me of, but what he kind of reminds me of is this funny thing, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but in terms of what I am seeing of him and this guy when he was in Philly wasn't what he turned out to be eventually, but that would be like the Patrick Sharp thing. Like Patrick Sharp when he was in Philly had these same kind of like really skilled plays, but wasn't like a dominant type player, but showed that at moments he was like, he's going to be a really good player. And of course, the Flyers just traded him away for virtually nothing.
I don't think Grant's going to be scoring a ton of points.
I'm not saying no, but there's these. But what I agree is not like probably not going to take
some
that
plays once in a while. Yes,
but the thing about him is that he's tough and he's skilled. Like he's very very skilled for his toughness. Like he's surprised. I mean, his kick pass the other day in the Capitals game, little things he does that you don't usually see fourth liners doing. That to me that's what's been impressive. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. I was at a soccer thing for my daughter who's graduating high school last night. And of course, wasn't able to go to the game because she's a senior and there was a big thing. And I'm like, and I'm watching, and I'm talking, and it's like everybody's amazed at the Flyers. What can you do? It's a fun team to follow. But let's move.
Well, let me just bring up one thing, not Flyer related, but Eastern Conference related. I saw a stat after their 4-3 loss to the Ottawa Senators last night.
Yeah.
The New York Islanders in the last 11 games are 2-7-2, and they're averaging less than 2 goals per game. I don't know how much evidence you needed before the deadline that you needed to improve your scoring. J.G. Pageau is not an offensive player. He's a good two-way center, and it was a good ad, but it had to be followed up with an offensive player, and the Islanders didn't make that move. So right now, they're in danger of missing the playoffs, which I predicted. They're in danger of missing the playoffs because they simply can't score enough.
But Mike, Lou will answer back to you. It's all about the differential, and they're +1.
Horse crap.
The crazy thing is that the Rangers are 2 points behind the Islanders. That to me is
that probably shouldn't be at this point, and that is a good point. Like we have been talking about the Islanders' lack of offense, and it's still there. You can play this, blood from a stone defensive game all the time, but you do have to get some timely goals, and you have to have some breakout games where you get 3 or 4 goals. They haven't been getting it.
And their secondary scoring most of the year, and especially lately. Look at what Anthony Bouvalier's done lately. He's been in a horrific slump for maybe 3 weeks to a month.
Yep.
And even though Brock Nelson's been good, Barzal hasn't had the kind of year I think people expect out of him. Anders Lee's been very shaky in terms of inconsistency.
I think Thomas expected 100 points, but
and so is Josh Bailey, right? So what's that?
Yeah.
What's that, Russ?
No, Thomas Boyle last year, I think he said Barzal was going to get 100 points. And
again, last year, don't forget, moving from your second line center to your first line center when Tavares left is a huge change in terms of defensive focus. And the issue this year has been his wingers, especially Lee, haven't played up to the kind of capacity you expect out of either him or Bailey for the most part.
That's true.
And I did see some of the.
He is only 22.
And I did see some of the highlights last night, and Varlamov got smoked short side. I think it was Brady Tkachuk. He has not been great. He's been okay. He has not been the guy who, at times with Colorado or Washington stood on his head. And I'm sorry, they can't go to Thomas Greiss if they're looking for a savior. So I mean,
they had a chance. They actually could have reacquired Leonard as well. They had a chance to do that.
Okay, so if we get back to that conversation, though, they lowballed Leonard on term, and Leonard hung out for as long as he could on that, and he wanted to resign, and Lou wouldn't give him what he wanted. So they get what they get, Ek.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
That's on them. That's on Lou.
The other game I saw in the Eastern Conference last night that I was watching carefully was Florida-Boston, which was actually a really good game. The Florida Panthers historically have played the Bruins really tough. Actually, have a pretty strong winning record over the last couple of years against them.
That game set back offense about 25 years though.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it was it was one of those games if the Panthers win that game last night, you just really feel like things could change a little bit for the Panthers because they are right in this thing too. And like I predict that they're going to be one of the 2 wildcard teams. I'm sticking by that still.
No,
I am.
So like the Bruins are again
other than the fact that they can't win at home, especially when there's nobody there.
No, I mean, listen, there's no question that if they don't get goaltending at all, they're going to have trouble.
Who was the starting goalie yesterday?
Yeah, This is the thing. You spent $70 million for 7 years for Sergei Bobrovsky, and unless he's injured, and we don't know, and I would assume we would have heard that by now.
Maybe not.
In 2 of the most important home games of the year against Calgary on the second of back-to-back, they play Samuel Montembeault, and then they play Chris Dredger against the Bruins. Yeah. What a friggin' joke.
Yeah, Quenneville's losing trust in him because, let's face it, Bob has had a terrible year. This is a terrible year. We're all waiting for this. Everybody keeps saying he's a second-half guy. Great, we're in the second half. Well, he's going to do well down the stretch. Well, we're in the stretch. He hasn't done well.
Listen, I know. I mean, there's two of the 5 teams of Carolina, the Islanders, the Rangers, Columbus, and Florida. 2 of them have to make the playoffs. All right. So the bottom line is Columbus probably won't make the playoffs because they have.
I'm not saying that. See, I think.
I know it's possible they do because they always find a way. I do agree with you.
Hello back, and Torts is having these guys hang on by their thumbnails.
Yeah, Carolina, I don't think is going any. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. The Islanders are a mess right now. I don't think they're making the playoffs. So that leaves down to me. It leaves really. If I give Columbus as the team that makes the playoffs, because I'm going to say that you're probably right, that Torts finds a way as the one team that puts the Rangers and the Panthers in the other spot. So
right. Well, I don't think it's the Panthers, and I don't think it's the Rangers either. Yeah. I honestly think the Islanders will get it together.
Well, Jan, let me ask you because
Columbus. Look at this for a second. Last 10, and then Jan can speak. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
The last 10. Look at the records of these teams. Columbus 2-4-4. Mm-hmm. The Islanders 2-6-2.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina 3-5-2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Rangers 6-4.
Yeah, it's
right, but they're not going to keep.
It's like it's just continuing.
As an example, Georgiev is already showing signs of too much use because Quinn's not playing Lundqvist, which is wrong, and he's already overusing Georgiev. He's giving up way too many rebounds, and he's never played this many games in his life in a professional setting. So that's a problem.
That may not be a concern because Mr. Shesterkin may be in between the pipes tomorrow night.
He's skating,
there already comments came out saying that he looked good today. He's going to consult with the trainers, and there's a possibility he's between the pipes tomorrow night.
If that's the case, that's a big deal because getting him back sooner makes me give them a better chance for the playoffs. But again, their defense still stinks.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I mean, we can't hide that.
My view, actually, and I wrote it, was I would go with Georgiev tomorrow because they are facing the Devils, who seemingly can't score these days, and then go with Shesterkin for the back-to-back against Dallas and Colorado.
I mean, Mark Stahl looks like Chris Therien at the end. I mean,
that actually had a pretty good year though. Overall.
They had a Stahl.
No, Chris, I'll see him. Whatever. He knows.
Yeah, whoever's out there at the end.
Space, right?
Yeah, it was against the Capitals last night. The defensive pairing they had at the end was awful. I mean, just terrible.
Lost in this is the race in the Eastern Conference right now, Anthony, is a turtle race because
it is a turtle race.
I just read off the records, and then last night, Florida loses a point on an overtime goal, and Toronto playing non-playoff teams in California. Freddie Anderson was superhuman last night. He was incredible, and the only goal that they scored was William Nylander in the shootout. And everybody else, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner couldn't even get a shot on net because the puck fell off their stick. So it's like
the Kings are 7-2-1, and they're at the bottom of the Western Conference, but they're 7-2-1 in their last game.
I'll tell you something right now. If we see Jonathan Quick play like that last night, somebody's going to be interested in him in the summer because I'll tell you right now, he played like the old Jonathan Quick last night.
I do have breaking news.
Go ahead.
The New Jersey Devils. They basically just won Twitter because they told the Blues, if you slice our bagels, we're calling the cops. Like, that's it. That is the greatest tweet of this hockey season. You don't know that picture, Mike? Where
I don't know that. I don't know.
Oh
that.
my God! There's a picture where the Blues sliced bagels the complete wrong way.
The wrong way last year.
Geez.
And everybody on Twitter lost their why.
Yeah. I saw that.
Oh man! So I mean, the great, like you said, the wild card in the West. A couple of things last night that happened, Mike, and like you said, it is crazy close, and all these teams have a shot, and even Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago has a great shot.
Well, they did do. Edmonton, those Super Oilers. They looked really
all right,
good.
Mike, I want to talk to you about this, okay, for a second, because Mike, we've thought about Chicago and Edmonton. Granted, two teams I predicted to do very well. One's doing well, one's not. We've thought about this. So last night, no matter what happened in the game, you would be like, the Hawks, they suck. The Oilers, they suck. Someone had to lose that game, Mike. So it's like treating about like be like, the Oilers are 2 points out of first place. All right, no one thought that would ever happen. Well, maybe someone did, because I think the Oilers finished first place in the division. But the Hawks also finished high in their division, are not going to finish there. But the Hawks, though, I mean, it's amazing. Without Robin Leonard, they're still like doing well. I mean, they trade off Leonard.
Crawford's playing very well. I mean,
Crawford is healthy, great, but that's like
right.
That's got to be scary if you're a Chicago Blackhawks fan. That there's Crawford if he's healthy, that's not a good line to say. But let's look at the Wild win again. I mean, this is the difference between the two divisions. We just talked about the last 10 record of the teams fighting for the wild card in the East. Here's the last 10 of the West. Okay, Minnesota's 7-3. Nashville's 5-4-1. Winnipeg's 5-4-1. Arizona's 5-4-1. Chicago's 6-4. Vancouver's 4-5-1. All these teams are basically playing 500 record.
Well, this is how screwy things are. We talked to Pete Weber on Wednesday, and he blamed it more on the defense. But we know that Rene and Saros have not played well, and the team has not played well defensively. And then they go out and they shut out Dallas 2-0.
Right. I mean, that was the perfect kind of win for the Predators after the previous two games. I mean, getting a shutout, getting it at home. They just needed it. They needed it in a big way, and they're right in there still. They have it's. To me, Vancouver's the team that's just falling off the map, and I think that they're just going to continue to fall.
All this is great, but there's still like 12, 13 games left, and that's where
the Markstrom injury killed them.
Yeah, that's where if you're 7-3 now, can you continue to go 7-3? It's the same thing that even Philly will make the playoffs now, but as far as getting first place, the amount of games that they've won, it's going to be mathematically hard to keep that going, and they haven't taken over first place
in the Metro Division is huge. I mean, because when you think about
it is.
They got the three. I think, like Anthony said before, and I disagree with you that the Flyers would lose to Pittsburgh in a series. I don't think that's. I think that's a dead heat to me. It's like really, it's right there.
Not the Pittsburgh Penguins that I saw last night. Now, granted, the Buffalo Sabres have quit. They've already planned their trip.
They looked great against Ottawa and Pittsburgh their last two games. Ottawa and Buffalo their last two games.
Right, but I was saying that I think actually Philly has a real good chance of winning that series. Actually.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like to me that especially if the Flyers get home ice in that series because the home
ice would help. That's
and getting JVR back would help also because
winning that division gives you one of those teams. They will give you one of these like wild card teams that can't get it out of their way right now. So like to me, that's the interesting thing versus Washington, Pittsburgh, and Philly. Those three teams are pretty much a dead heat right now. All of them are pretty much the same, I think.
But the map,
there's a big difference between the Flyers. They could get Columbus in the first round, for example.
I have a better.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have a better question. Which one of the teams that are fighting for the last two wild card spots has a shot at beating Boston in the first round?
None of them.
No, not none of them.
None of them.
No, Florida. And I'll tell you. And
come on. No. Let's just say that one of the teams that has a chance.
Even your grandmother.
If Sergei Bobrovsky were you guys the clock 5 years, then yes.
You guys are always so right. Always so right.
Your nana just laughing.
You predicted 4 points for the Rangers the rest of the year. You don't have a lot of leeway with me here, Ak.
Love it. I didn't predict anything.
You did. I got it all over my blog. I got guys going, what is he talking about?
It's a projection based on who they're playing in their record, okay? That they're playing teams that are better than them.
Before you keep upping the number.
Because they keep winning.
Like the Robin Williams bit with Gaddafi. This is a line of death. You cross, you die. Okay, this is a line of death. Okay, you can't keep doing it.
You'll never understand math.
I'll never understand that. You keep forgetting who you're talking to here.
I know. Jan, give me a second here. Every game.
No, just keep rolling the grenades into the
By the way, the Penguins have a game in hand on the Flyers, so let's not leave that out too.
That's wonderful. That's true. I agree. All right, so here. I mean, the Rangers, the rest of the year, we're playing teams that they have been sub 500 to for the last 3 years and playing teams that were below them in the standings. This is why
their defense stinks. You never know when they're going to have these games.
And I'm not predicting that. I'm not predicting that they're going to get that. I'm just saying if everything happens as exactly as it should, which is really what my thing should be called, what the standings would be like if every team that's supposed to win wins that game. That never happens in hockey. So I completely acknowledge that. I'm just saying that the Rangers are not. That's what's up against them. Like opposite of the Predators, who had a schedule that suits them pretty well.
You know
That's
what? For Easter, we're going to put a chocolate bunny out in the sun, and we're all going to predict how long it takes to degrade. I think we have a better chance of doing that.
Of those 5 teams that we think are realistic wild card teams, the
Eastern or Western Conference. First of all, we talking?
Well, Eastern.
Okay.
Of the 5 teams that are, we've got Columbus at 79 through Florida at 74.
Yeah,
we all know that goaltending is king in the playoffs. The only team of those 5 that has the goaltending to potentially upset Boston is the Rangers. Every other one, I'm not sold on Elvis yet. Varlamov with the Islanders. Reimer and Mrazek with Carolina, and Bobrovsky's been a $10 million bust. So
Bobrovsky beat Tampa last year in the playoffs.
I know he did, but not this Bobrovsky.
But he was the different player last year.
Yeah,
as of right now, could he raise his game?
Yeah, he could
raise that way. Yes, but you're not going to go into the playoffs with that expectation of it occurring.
Yeah, but with goalies, the playoffs are like a brand new slate. They'll all tell you that.
You have to get there first.
Shit season, it's not.
Yeah,
you got to get there first.
Listen, they got to get there first.
They're not going to get there.
True. It's the first thing you've said that's right, Jan. But I get it. But
Sergey is too busy eating prawns on at South Beach in far. It's like, come on. Really?
By the way, I liked Edmonton beating Philly in '87. I was rooting for Edmonton.
I'm sure you did.
If I had $10 million a year, I'd be eating prawns on South Beach.
I'm not buying this the same way I didn't buy any pizza in Florida. Same way.
All right, so who do you think? Let's go around the panel here with our little time left we got, which is not much, right? Yeah.
It's more than you want.
Yeah, it is. All right, but let's go around the panel and tell me who's going to make the playoffs in the East and the West. Out of the wild card teams. We're looking at wild card teams. Who are those wild card teams? All right, so let's go. Mike, you can start us. Eastern Conference. Let's get to East first.
Eastern Conference, I'll go with Columbus and the Rangers.
All right.
Give me a second.
Anthony.
Give me a second. Go around the horn.
All right, Ross.
I think it's Columbus and the Islanders the same way it is right now.
All right. Jan.
Rangers and Islanders.
Rangers and Islanders. That'd be fun.
Ooh, okay. Anthony.
That would be fun.
I'm going to say Columbus and the Islanders. We're gonna go with chalk. But it's going to be real close.
Yeah, I think things are going to be fluid.
It's going to be crazy.
But I'm going to lean Islanders for now. But I could easily see the Rangers.
There is some stuff supposedly behind the scenes on the Islanders with Trotz. Somebody told me that there's some say rife, but there's stuff that the team is not playing obviously the way they want it to be, and it's filtered over into the locker room a bit also.
That's not surprising. It seems like it. And whenever you have this kind of collapse too, that's going to happen.
And the style they play also, right? I mean, you can only play that. You guys said that kind of a style after a while. If things break down, it has an impact. You're the only one that hasn't answered the question yet.
I know. I'm the head host of the show, so I don't have to. Let's go to the Western Conference.
No.
I'm just kidding. I got it. I'm not afraid. Do I fear ever? Obviously, I wouldn't be afraid of fear. All right, let's just talk about this. All right, I'm going to go with Columbus and Florida, and those are my two teams that are making it. And I think the Islanders have. I think the Islanders and the Rangers are going to. It's going to be within a point or so. It's going to be so crazy close. But I just think at the end of the day, those are the teams that are going to make it.
I will agree with that if Alexander Barkov refines his game, because he sure as heck doesn't have it right now.
All right, I'm with you on that. So let's, Anthony, you gave us ours. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm going chalk.
Go to the West.
Yeah.
Go to the West.
Western Conference. Western Conference. We'll start with you, Jan. We'll go the opposite.
So hold on. First of all, are we talking? We're assuming we're putting Calgary in the mix because right now they're not set as the number 3 seed out there either.
Wild cards right now.
No, yeah, I mean, the Calgary's on the wild card race too. So I agree with you. I think you have to include say whether you think
there's actually 3 spots. You got to pick 3 teams then.
Right, you got to pick the third team in the Pacific, the third team in the Pacific, and the 2 wild cards. Essentially, is what you have to do.
Okay.
All right, I'm going Winnipeg.
Okay.
I'm going Minnesota.
All right.
Those are the
And I'm going.
Who's going to win the Pacific?
I'm going to go Arizona.
So I think Arizona is the third team in the Pacific.
Yep.
Arizona, Minnesota, and Winnipeg. All right, I like that's not bad. It's not bad at all.
We're going just wild card. We're going 3 or 2.
No,
You gotta go with the third team in the Pacific and the 2 wild cards.
The 2 wild cards.
All right. So Calgary.
He's going to win. You think they're going to win the Pacific or no?
I'm sorry,
the third.
Win the Pacific.
No, they'll get third in the Pacific. I'm saying, will they get?
Yes.
Yeah, Calgary be third in the Pacific. I think Calgary finishes third in the Pacific.
Got it.
Wild card will be Minnesota. And Jam, to actually stick right out of my mouth, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Russ.
Okay, I'm going to go Calgary still third, and Arizona and Winnipeg.
Okay.
You stole the picks, Russ.
That was a tough one.
I stole your thunder.
Yeah, you stole my thunder. I think Calgary will hold on for third place, and hopefully it'll be a bloodbath between them and Edmonton if Edmonton actually makes the playoffs, which I still think that they may miss. Wild cards, I'm going with Darcy Kemper in Arizona and Winnipeg.
Arizona, Winnipeg. Okay, I think Calgary's going to keep that spot too. I really do want to. I just really want to see the Battle of Alberta in the first round in the worst way.
I think it's deep down, all of us. I think
we all want to see that.
Yeah, there's just no way that would, and especially this year, having been like all the stuff that's gone on beyond that is just like.
Look, and I'm happy for Minnesota. If you remember, I thought people were too hard on Minnesota last year, but I just think down the stretch, it's still going to be very hard for them. They're close. They've got some young players playing decent. But I just think when you talk about these other teams will probably grind it out over there.
I think didn't you have Minnesota win the division last year?
I did. And
last year, yeah.
I was real high on them last year. It didn't happen. And they've regrouped this year. Garen's done a nice job retooling, but I just think they're going to come up a little short.
How interesting would it be if Kevin Fiala gets Minnesota in the playoffs and makes Nashville stay home?
That'd be good. That's a good story, yeah, for sure. But it's not going to happen. The Calgary's going to be.
People forget about Fiala too. He had a really bad leg injury.
Huge. It was horrific.
And people I don't know why they just seem to ignore that when talking about his production.
If he doesn't hurt his leg, Predators might have won that Stanley Cup.
They may have won the Cup that year. He was tremendous that playoffs.
Yeah, he was, and they lost him early.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to go with I think Nashville and Winnipeg are the two wildcard teams. I think that those.
You have to say Nashville. You were never going to not say Nashville.
He won't be able to make it into the state if he doesn't.
David Poyle will text you if you don't say Nashville.
You'll be cut off of your supply of hot chicken.
Stopping him at the border.
Here's some hot chicken.
I'm going to beat you with the Stanley Cup behind me next time I see you, Russ.
Okay. That's fair.
Well, the last time Philly won it was when?
No,
we have one since then. We have one later than you guys.
One since then. Thank God Mark Messier came down and saved your butts. Without him.
We're like 1987 against Philly also.
I was a month old the last time the Leafs won.
I mean, can I make the only I'm going to I have said nothing but nice things about all your predictions when you said them. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That could happen. I can see that. But
you didn't tell you to. You didn't have to.
Yeah.
No, but I'm
not disagreeing with you. I can easily see it happen. The whole point of it is honestly, we're projecting the next 3 weeks as to what's going to happen, and who the heck knows, as we've seen. Look at the injuries that have happened already that have wreaked havoc with teams.
I mean, the thing that's most fascinating about the next 3.5 weeks, especially with the West, is we don't know how many games these 5 teams play against each other.
Right.
And, you can.
Yes, we do.
I don't have it at my fingertips.
Schedule.
That's what my whole thing is about, Mike. That's the whole friggin' thing I did. It's all about who they play, who plays each other. That's why I think Nashville gets there.
I'm sorry, I didn't read it.
The only thing that doesn't get factored in are injuries. Injuries don't get factored in.
Yes, that's true.
Let's do the tank-a-thon first.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Make sure you get that awesome drum roll together, Mike.
At this point in Back to the Future, he's turned into that.
Yeah, if the Islanders win, I won't exist or something. All right, here
we go.
All right, hold on. I'm getting there.
Stop doing that.
Ever. I don't understand.
It sounds like somebody's getting electrocuted.
Exactly. It doesn't. It sounds like, it sounds like Poltergeist to me. All right, ready?
Go ahead.
Here we go. We don't. If you want the production value of the Hockey Buzzcast to go up, go to patreon.com/hockey, and we'll get an actual drum roll. If we have 5 people to submit $1 today, if we get $5 today, we'll actually have a drum roll on the show at some point. I'll bring my drummer in here and I'll sit him right next to me and we'll do it. 5 people, $1 apiece.
Yeah, but
ready?
If it's Phil Collins, you won't be able to do it.
He could do it sitting.
The CJ lottery's up.
Sorry.
Here we go. It's Montreal.
Wow.
Oh, that'll be perfect.
Montreal.
In Montreal. Alex Lafreniere. And by the way, before we do end the show today, we've had a lot of fun here today. Well, some of us have, and others not so much. But yeah, I'm trying to stop this thing. Where the hell is it? Oh, here it is. Sorry.
Go ahead. After you do it, I got something to say too.
I want to talk about Henri Richard for a second because.
Oh, all right. So can we wait 1 minute before?
In terms of your question from before, the last day of the regular season,
April 4th.
Minnesota is at Nashville.
Yeah, I know.
Winnipeg is at Arizona.
That's pretty good.
That's something.
I did want to mention one thing about the draft.
The former Jets against.
I saw that NHL.com put out like a group rankings or whatever, and they had Tim Stützle second, and they moved Byfield down to third.
Oh my God!
I don't believe that will ever happen in real life. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, there we go, Russ. If Russ says it's true, I will believe it. All right. 84. Henri Richard, 11 championships, pro championships. There's only one guy. Bill Russell's 11 pro championships in the NBA, but no one else has close. Not even anybody for the Patriots has 11 pro championships. No, and Henri Richard, played 20 years. 20 years and won 11 cups. Think about that ratio. It's just astonishing. I got to see him play once. I was really little. I honestly don't remember it. His last season was 73, 74. I think 74, 75, somewhere in there.
Yeah, right in that range.
But and played with his brother for 5 years at the end of Maurice Richard. And just this is the royal family of the Montreal Canadiens. And to me, like the crazy thing about this, and I heard Jeff Marek say it today on the show on Sports Channel at noon, and he's right that the Canadiens, they'll do an incredible ceremony for this. I'm sure they just do that better than anybody else. It's what I love about the sports. I love the whole match. Why the Montreal Canadiens have always been my second favorite team. I love the whole aura of it all, and it's why Mike and I get along so well. But the reality of this is, Henri Richard was such a fast little player. Like he was 5'7". He kind of brings on that era of think of like Johnny Gaudreau. He was just a crazy player to watch. And you guys know that I have done this thing where on my Xbox where I simulated these old players. I'm going to have a Maurice Richard game later in honor of this and play the all-time Canadiens, which I made a play Henri Richard. I made an Henri Richard player on that team. It's fun to watch because you get a chance to see like a little bit of how fast he was compared to his size and other players. It's just like astonishing to watch him play. And I'm going to have them play against the all-time Edmonton Oilers later on, probably tomorrow during the day at some point. But it'll be fun. And just so I have any memories of him, Russ? You're probably the only one.
Look, he was really fast. I think he was one of those guys that he was great defensively. Like that was another key thing for him. He was a great teammate, so that's why he won a lot of those cups. But he was probably their 6th or 7th or best player. That's really the reality. He was a guy that did get a lot of points and cups because of the guys that he was playing with and next to. But he was a key part of the team. But I can't call him Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau is way more talented. Yeah,
you got to remember, in those 50s teams, he wasn't at the level of Geoffrion or his brother.
Right.
For the 60s teams, he wasn't at the level of Beliveau.
Or Cornway.
Or Cornway in the 70s.
Talking about all-time players here. I mean,
No, but that's what we're saying. I mean,
I'm putting it in perspective. I'm saying he was a very, very good player, but the top level in the 70s, Lemaire, Schutt, Lafleur, he was always on that second level, but he was great for all of that. So for over 20 years.
Yeah, no, and he really was. And then, as a kid, like I fell in love with the Canadians and the concept of how fast they were. The Flying Frenchmen, just the whole thing of it was
79 when they were old. I knew they were beating the Rangers because they were still faster than most teams, even with all of those guys aging.
Well, that was when JD was in goal.
Yeah, he was playing on one knee.
And you remember, like, Richard retires in like 74, 75. I mean, the Canadians then go on another run,
They would have had a better chance with Steve.
But a big point, like Mike was saying offline with me, like Henri Richard won 4 cups in his first 5 years with his brother. Like, if his brother's not on the team, he doesn't win those cups.
That's hard to say. That team was
hard to say.
That team was so dominant. I mean, I know he was the best. I mean, I know Maurice.
He's the best player in the game. I don't think it's hard to say.
Yeah, he's one of the top 5 or 6 all time, probably. But depending on, it's hard to put with there. Maurice Richard, his impact was enormous. Obviously,
it was.
And Henri, it's funny. Like I remember him saying, he just really wanted to play because his brother played. And he honestly didn't know his brother very much because his brother moved out, really early when he was a kid. So there was a big difference. It was like 15 years between the two of them or something like that. But anyway, just thoughts with Montreal, and I'm sure there'll be some pretty amazing ceremonies. Big games this weekend, guys. This is going to be one of those weekends that's going to hopefully set things apart, and we won't see a whole ton of overtime losses this weekend.
We will. This is the NHL. This is what happens.
Yep. I mean, that's just killing the game right now. But that's the time for another.
It kills the race.
Well,
yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Remember, without the buzz, and thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Jan, of course. Without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you all on